Hey, everybody, I'm David Bloom here at Next TMT. I'm here with our running buddy over at Stream TV Insider, editor Bevan Fletcher. We're both hanging out in Amsterdam on the eve of the gigantic International Broadcasting Conference known as IBC. I was over there today picking my badge up, and it's a big damn place. Lots going on. It's going to be a pretty intense 4 days. I'll be there for a couple of them. We'll be putting out some special issues. We'll be sharing these with Stream TV Insider because Bev's so cool. The Bevinator's with us. So how great is that?
Oh, we're lucky to have you guys.
Yeah, well, the only downside is unlike when we partnered up in Denver for the Stream TV show, which was fantastic, and many of those people I believe are here actually this time around too. 2 months later, 2.5 months later, we're considerably more short of sleep.
Yes, no sleep till shipper.
Yeah, so if I'm a little punch drunk or Bevan's not quite as perfectly intelligible as he normally is, and that is generally always, uh, we have issues. But let's start, Bevan. Let's do a little quick rundown. Is there anything going on tomorrow that you're really wanting to dive into? You're gonna make some time.
Well, well, I don't. Well, I'm having a meeting tomorrow. There's was an IBC. Grace Note came out. I thought with some IBC news before last week that was pretty interesting about. It's called their Video Model Context Protocol server, and it's for content discovery use cases. But it basically connects to an AI agent that a service would build to help with content discovery use cases, and then it helps ground those large language models in like fact and truth and kind of addresses some of the issues with LLMs of hallucinations, and it can get pretty granular. And I thought that was interesting also just in the topic of I wonder, I'm sure we're going to hear stuff about AI agents and how those are going. But it also just kind of reminded me of a conversation I had with Google TV recently, Shalini Govil Pai, about their they're rolling out Gemini on DL's newest devices, I think, for the first time. And they're talking about kind of being able to have that back and forth with your TV. And I'm just kind of curious about the evolution of the smart TV in general, and especially with a lot of people seem to think agents are going to play a big role. And
Well, and I think, boy, everybody keeps writing Google off with a AI race, and it's like, Gemini's pretty good. They're doing Flow, which is their video generation thing. And as I've pointed out, every single day, not only does Gemini ingest a whole lot of search, questions and stuff like that, and all the things that services on a routine basis, they got YouTube. And if you want to train an AI on video, that endless fount of video content that flows in unbidden for no cost every single day, that's a pretty good little training set. So if they can take that, turn that around, and start doing things with the stuff that's a little more polished, and that's no pejorative toward any of the fine people doing great stuff in YouTube, but I think that's going to be pretty powerful.
yeah, on the TV, I mean, they were even talking about it like kind of the TV, I think in TCL's case, because they have far field mics, the TV actually voices back the answer to you as well. So it's more of a conversation, and they see it for use cases like shopping or travel, like I want to go to Tokyo. And then it shows you YouTube videos of, and in this case, but yeah, they are in this case, it's still pulling from YouTube content because that's what it has. And that's why I feel like in the content discovery use case, Grace Notes product's interesting because you still need that metadata that to see across content is very challenging. And
Right.
that universal search is hard.
This
Because
is going to be an interesting one as well, I think, because all these big players like Netflix and Amazon just kind of partnered up on some of their ad
yeah,
tech stuff. Meanwhile, folks like the fine people over at the trade desk, the biggest of the independent guys, who are getting just their stock prices are getting beat up in the last 6 months. They're trying to say, hey, you want to be owned by Amazon? You want to be just chattel slave to whichever of these big platforms ends up, winner takes most, as often happens? Or do you want to kind of keep this ecosystem a little more diverse on a corporate biology standpoint so that you've got a little more control over how much money you make and all that stuff? I think that's going to be a really interesting set of conversations all
yeah.
through this.
And I think Matthew Hennick from Trade Desk is speaking tomorrow on a panel Friday session about, I think, also like priority placements. And I think, who was it, Colin Dixon? He just wrote, I read a blog kind of saying how Roku's become a hostile environment for content owners or content partners. And I think that's kind of Ventura's kind of part of their proposition is they don't have a content play. So they're not.
Right. Yeah, I think it is really interesting to see what is Roku doing. The Roku channel is now charging money. All of a sudden, I found $9.99 on my bill. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And like I don't even watch the Roku channel. I've got a
The
couple of
Roku.
Roku channels scattered through the house, but it's like I'm not watching fast channels and paying $10 for the privilege. So
Wait, if they was charged, that's like it's free is in the name, fast.
you would think.
Oh, on the TVOS topic, also what I thought was interesting this week, Hisense Vita, they're making a set topless box for Deutsche Telekom, I think, for their customers. That seemed pretty interesting, really doing the integration of linear and streaming.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see. Actually, one of the things I think I'm most interested in seeing, just generally, is more of the international component of all this,
Mhm.
because IBC, in its name, International Broad, and it's owned by 6 big trade organizations, and so we will see a lot more European flavor and, to a lesser
Mhm.
extent, the Middle East, which has got a lot of money being thrown at all kinds of entertainment stuff, and Africa, but, yeah, there's a lot of American operators over here. So I'll be looking forward to see more of that international component and what's going on. We know that broadcast has more legs in many parts of the world than it
Mhm.
has in the United States right now. And so that's interesting. And how you take that and pull it into the next universe, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
How they do that. And do they partner up or do they go it alone or, very.
yeah.
And we're seeing some of that evolve, but I think that you're right, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited. I feel like it'll be a lot of learning this weekend for me.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot going on. Coming into, and I'm going to say this badly, our wonderful Airbnb host tried in vain, and she's a lovely, vivacious, helpful person. Thought she was great. She tried to teach me how to say the name of the airport here. And clearly I don't have enough phlegm in my throat to say Schiphol.
Oh, I think I just butchered it earlier, so
I feel better. I feel better knowing that as Americans, we don't phlegm.
sorry about that.
We do not phlegm enough to say Schiphol. But it's one of Europe's busiest airports. Coming in and waiting in line for customs, had a little chat with a fellow from England who's a boutique investment banker from London, and he was there with his partner to kind of go shopping. I mean, they want to learn a little bit too, but they're kind of looking for, where are the M&A opportunities? And I got to tell you, I got to think that that is going to be a big deal over the next 2 to 3 years in some of these spaces. You
Oh yeah.
mentioned some of this captioning stuff. I think captioning, subtitling, translation is A, big business, but B, there are 10 zillion companies doing that, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, they've crept up.
there's not business for all those folks. So they're going to start rolling them up, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So he's in the right place at the right time because, investment bankers are good that way. Successful ones anyway. So, but that's going to be a thing. I mean, we're looking forward to a lot of changes. I think also big picture, there's a couple other things floating out there. EchoStar is selling off all of its bandwidth it was going to do wireless in the United States, but Elon just bought 19 billion in spectrum for Starlink, and he is pushing to have video content satellite delivered wherever you are for some sort of price through technically SpaceX, but the network of satellites that he controls with Starlink are going to be crucial. So that's all of a sudden becomes another platform. He's even threatening if
Right.
he's even I was going to say he's even threatening, and this is the week that Apple came out with its latest iPhones, right, or announced what they were going to be. He's even threatening if you guys don't put more satellite capability into your cell phones, I'm going to put my own phone out there, which is a direct shot at both Apple and the wireless carriers, right? So
Yeah.
that's a big deal. Fixed wireless facing some challenges. Apple makes, I think, $76 billion a quarter or some.
So you think they're okay?
I think this week they're good. The dividend going to show up. They're going to sell a few more phones, but this is the kind of thing that stirs things up.
Yeah.
We've got Fox finally figuring out who's going to be running it when Rupert finally goes away at 94. It can't be that far off. We finally settled with his three nearly liberal, I don't want to overstate that, adult children, to let the fourth very conservative one have control. The cost of doing business was 1.1 billion. So okay, so Fox, which has a big presence in the UK, a big presence in Australia as well as the United States, keeps making money. That's another player out there. Will they get bigger now that Lachlan knows that he's going to be the guy and he's going to control things? Are they going to start doing
More ambitious, you mean?
yeah, like more international deals? Rupert sold everything off. Smart move. 70 billion to Disney or 71 billion to Disney. But maybe they do some more acquisitions. Maybe they do merge with Warner Brothers Discovery, as guys at Lightshed have suggested would make a lot of sense, for instance. Things like that. It's like it'll be interesting to see what comes out of
Yeah.
that. So that's floating out there. Any big social gatherings? Because I know you are quite the butterfly when it comes to social gatherings. Are you going to
Um,
anything going?
I think there are some happy hours, maybe some dinners on my. I'm not. I don't know. I don't have my schedule right.
Right. I've got some too. My concern is going to these things and getting the martini and going "Bleh," and falling asleep in the martini and drowning in my own
Stay
vodka.
up for the day.
Technically I'm more of a gin martini guy myself. But that being said, and actually more of a Manhattan guy. But that being said, it's definitely a possibility. So you got to be careful. But I know another thing I want to say. Like Avid is coming out with more stuff. Adobe had a big announcement that finally came through yesterday, I guess. Blackmagic's got some cool things to make it easier to use your brand new fancy iPhone in a mount that connects it to all these professional things, so that iPhones can be more everywhere you want to be, doing everything you want to do at a next level. There's a lot of stuff going on with editing things and putting them together and putting them up on YouTube, or even if you're, Steven Soderbergh, you're putting them in theaters for
Yeah,
so
in the content creation space, you're saying, and the device space.
I don't want to ignore those, because I think that's more
Yeah,
important than ever, particularly given this explosion with YouTube and it's ever growing share of the U.S. pie of hours viewed according to the Nielsen gauge. I know a cool thing. Have you gotten your badge yet?
yes, I went this morning. I was there bright and early.
Did they tell you that with your little QR code that you get to ride all the many different public transportation modes of Amsterdam for the next 4 days for free?
They did when I arrived. It was right after I bought my 4-day pass for the Metro
Right after that. Okay.
because I had to take it together.
Give me some needy
I'll put
person.
it to you.
But I want to tell everybody listening to this, it's like,
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's great.
cool.
It is. No, that's great. It's good
Yeah, I
they do
mean,
the
they're trying to reduce some of the
burden.
impacts on the planet of 75,000 people dropping in one place in a city of, technically Amsterdam, I think, is like 700,000, but the metropolitan area is like 2.5 million. So, 75,000 rabid broadcasting people is a lot. So I will say IBC's the Rye Amsterdam facilities are massive. You can see behind me. I'll try to move
I love that you've got the floor. Is that the floor plan we got going? The
the
order?
floor plan, and I think the media guys are up over here. I was down, well, kind of where my esophagus is, picking up my badge. But there's a lot going on, and it's going to be quite the show. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, Bevan will be able to get you back on if you're not either wiped out from all your cocktail hours or
Yeah,
delayed lack of sleep. Still,
that's more likely.
much more likely. But anyway, thank you for
Thank you.
joining me again. I'm David Bloom, co-founder of Next TMT, here with Next TMT Talks with Bevan Fletcher, editor of Stream TV Insider. doing a preview of tomorrow's opening day for I think we're going to be in both our publications. Tomorrow's opening day for IBC. So thanks,
Yeah.
Bevan.
Lots to see. Lots to look forward to. Thanks, David.
Run into you. Take care. Bye.